Good afternoon, sir. Thank you for this press conference. Kind of a follow-up on where we started. At the same time that we have a meeting coming up in Washington eventually, at the same time you have a narrative that has been developing in these last weeks and touching on something that doesn't seem to be the way it is presented, talking about humanitarian crisis that is incredible, millions of people displaced in eastern Congo, that people need to have access to Goma, and that is especially developed in Europe, for what we can see. So sometimes also it reminds me of 10 years ago, or 2012, 2013, what is this thing about Goma? Because as soon as M23 took in 2012 Goma, the whole world went cuckoo. And now again, everybody wants to have access to Goma. So what is there? Because it's at our doors. At the same time, I believe that after 25 years, to have MONUSCO there, which was also part of the forces that, beginning of this year, were shooting at Rwanda. I mean, for Rwanda, this becomes something that maybe needs to be taken up. Like, how long can a force like that still stay there? And especially that they've been part of the belligerents attacking Rwanda. Mm-hmm. So what is this thing about Goma that nobody knows?
Well, Goma is near a volcano, which sometimes erupts, and so maybe that seems to be the factual thing about Goma. The rest are just stories. But from what you started saying, what is it that didn't actually originate from Europe? You asked something about Europe, and you are saying the stories about Goma and so on are originating from Europe. But what is it that didn't originate from Europe about this story or about this problem? If you look at the whole history and the old history, but even the recent history, you have had Europe always in the mix of things in and between our countries, and even to do with the crisis we have in Eastern Congo or the region. For about Goma, I don't fully understand. And talking about humanitarian crisis, yes, there is suffering. There is no question about it. But actually, it seems there was more suffering before the crisis, or at the beginning of it. As of today, I think the suffering is still there, but maybe less than. But to talk about humanitarian crisis so much is to find an entry point, an easy entry point into that crisis, and then shaping it the way some people want, given how they have been relating to this history I'm talking about all along before. You cannot talk about just crisis or humanitarian crisis without highlighting the root cause of that. And people have always avoided bringing up matters to do with the root cause, because in the end it exposes people like that. So there is always a way to shape things in a manner that there is effort to protect themselves, the people I'm talking about. And is it a new crisis in Eastern Congo, or in Goma, or around Goma? You remember this crisis, I have said this before, and you have heard it even from other people, or you know it yourselves. This crisis was there 2012, came back 10 years later. Why can't people try to understand? What is it? How can you have a problem 2012 and 10 years later you have a repeat of the same problem? It means, but yet, for those 10 years, we had this international presence. And many years before that, supposedly to address these problems. So much money spent, so many people involved, people losing their lives in big numbers, refugees, people displaced, and but life goes on like that until we are visited by the same problem, and then we start running around like this is a new thing. I mean, the amount of hypocrisy and even double standards and real insensitivity of some of these powers that we know, who are associated with the cause of these problems, or who accompany the crisis in a way they have chosen, and in the end they are the ones making so much noise about, they look like they are really hurt by the suffering of people. These are people touched and offended by people suffering. But this is just trash of pretense. If you are like that, you have heard people talk about values, you see our values, blah, 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 blah. It's a lot of nonsense. If you have the power of everything, whether political, money, or whatever, and then every day you're talking about values and so on and so forth, and even want to teach others how to respect values, yet you are the cause of the suffering, and you are the cause of the perpetuation of that. What kind of pretense is this? And you can't just... So when you see these people, coming out with a lot of anger on this and talking about, you see us, you've made a mistake, we are going to do this. In the end, all they are doing is adding more suffering to the suffering that is already there. It's not actually addressing any problem. So Goma, but if anyone wants Goma, that's fine. For whatever reason, whether it is ritual or, some believe in witchcraft, they would want to go and pray in Goma and meet their witch doctors there and so on and so forth. Still, you know what? Goma is, it's not functional as of now, but it is in the hands of some people. You go and talk to them. But if I were the one, now let me be myself, let me tell you a story. If I were the one, you come and I'm the one controlling Goma, and you come to say, I want to use Goma. I say, fine. But these are conditions. Goma is part of my problems that I face with the government. And now it is in my hands. I will not give it to you until you show me, alongside that, how you address my problems. Well, I may sound speaking for these guys, but I'm just reasoning. If I were the one, you want Goma, you want Kavumu, or Bukavu, or you want the whole of Eastern Congo back, fine. I have no problem with that. It will only come with you addressing my problems. Yeah, you understand? In my long history, in my judgment, that is what I learned over so many years of fighting for my rights and for, you know, people have, they sacrifice, they do what, but unless they have no reason they are sacrificing, that's a different issue. But if they are, everything should be put together. You want this, I'll give it to you. I have no problem.